Hello and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, where we are untethered from absolutely everything,
including untetheredness.
Yes, we are so untethered that we are actually tethered.
Ooh. I'm gonna have to go back and watch a couple of movies.
Cheech and Kong one.
Okay, that's a good start.
Do you understand what I just said? No. So, I'm not Brad, that's not Josh, but he is Brad and I am Josh, and together we are crazy. There you go.
Even separately, just together, crazier.
Yes. So, we have some highlights, I hope. We have some new releases. We might have upcoming releases next week, I'm not sure. And we have news.
Lots of news.
And more good news.
Yep.
So, with no further ado, what are your highlights? Not Josh.
Okay, my highlights are, man, I'm having a hard time finishing Star Wars. I refuse to take it off hard. I'm not going to play this on easy. And I'm getting to the point where I'm at the end of this sequence. And this one guy at the end always gets me. I'm always just dead enough with not enough to save me. And I keep regenerating in the same spot. So I'm frustrated, but enjoying it. I have to say, once again, double thumbs up for Star Wars.
Yeah.
It is as immersive a Star Wars experience as you can have and not be a Jedi. You know.
You're more like a Han Solo character.
Exactly. You're a rogue.
Yep. Kind of a droid mechanic rogue.
I think that part they could have left out, but maybe that was built. I think that was probably built in for the actual exhibit at Star Wars. So they just left it in to make you the nobody who knows anything, and all of a sudden you're there. But absolutely, they cast you as, you're Poe or you're Han Solo or any of the rogue characters you want to pick. Right. You're a lot more talented than you would be if you were a droid mechanic.
True. Well, maybe you were a droid mechanic with dreams of being a rogue.
Okay.
Practice using Star Wars version of virtual reality at being
Okay, I'm not going down this road any further. I'm just telling people this is a great game and you should really get it. Really, really.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I think that the trailer should sort of cut back a little on seeing an actual live actor walking up to the screen. I think that was a little much, really.
The latest Oculus trailer was well done, but at the same time, it does kind of give false impressions a little bit because everything in there is not in any of the games. It's all live action to give the sense of immersion that you get, but that's not what actual gameplay looks like.
Oh, at all. I mean, even I had to ask. I was like, wait a second, I have this headset. Is this game really look like this?
Right. And how the one lady flew in, or the main character flew in on Population 1, arms out like this. Ooh, so that's not how you fly in the game. They're out in a T-pose.
I know, and then just
like you're a kid pretending you're in an airplane.
Right. There was nothing in it that would actually happen to you when you put on the headset that won't be disappointing. That's the thing I'm sort of getting at here. It's like, don't show me that you're going to give me 28K resolution and complete.
Actually, I think that was more like 400K resolution.
Exactly. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It was crazy. I'd never take off the headset. Who needs AR at that point?
Right.
So, I think they might have overdone it a little.
Maybe.
They should at least make fun of it and say actual gameplay varies, or something, just to let you know.
At the very beginning of it, on the bottom of the screen, it said not actual gameplay footage.
Yeah, but nobody's looking at that. They're just...
I know. Well, I did. I looked at
it. Okay. Yeah, well, once you see it...
Are you saying I'm nobody?
No, I'm saying that you probably have seen that trailer more than the average person and took the time to read what was on the bottom as opposed to going, whoa! You know.
Maybe, but I tend to read those things because I'm used to reading captioning, and that showed up right where the captioning goes, right down here.
Right. There was something about it though that I was having a hard time seeing it. I did catch it like the third time I saw the trailer. I don't even know.
Oh yeah, it's kind of faint, and it's not there very long, and yeah.
I was going to say it's kind of grayed out and almost opaque.
It's like it's like the legal disclaimer at the end of
Everything.
where come on, if you're not all gameplay experiences of the time.
Right. Unlike the medication commercials, which show you the beautiful scene while they're telling you the ways you're going to die from taking this medication.
Yeah.
Ask your doctor if this is right for you. I love it. Anyway, and the other highlights I have this week are the fact that I have been accumulating money because, not on purpose. No, I have been waiting to buy a game. And each time a game comes out, it's like, oh, that looks good. And then another one comes out 2 days later, or they announce the next one that's going to be out in 3 days. And they have dropped some amazing games in the last few days. But along with those games, the DLCs, I don't have to buy anything really, probably for another few months, and I can go back in with the DLCs and replay everything.
Maybe, yeah.
Some of them have been great. I mean, they did Endspace. I downloaded Endspace. I couldn't believe what it looks like. It's like, are you kidding?
Yeah, I should probably check it out. I haven't yet. I used to play that back on the VR, so it's been around for a long time.
Oh, I know. I used to play it on the Go.
Mm-hmm.
And but now with the joysticks and the way that you can handle this thing, now it's a real game. It's like, cool. Oh my God, yeah. And they really...
I will have to go and check it out then.
I would say if you really wanted to play Squadrons and you don't have the ability to play Squadrons or a PC, then this is going to really satisfy that space fighting itch type of thing.
Maybe.
What other games did... Oh, I downloaded the new Invasion.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit in the new releases. I didn't know that was even coming out as a new re-release thing. So.
Oh, I know, and with added content and hand tracking, and it was
well, now we don't need to talk about
it. But we're going over highlights, so from you, so. Okay, so we're going to have to do this like Onward. We're going to have to ban each other from one of our highlights that overlaps the news.
I don't know. I try to choose highlights that don't overlap anything, so I don't have to censor myself.
That's what I have you for. You're my Jiminy Cricket.
No, that's fine. It's just anything else, or?
Yeah, I took a look at Jurassic Park, and I'm really having a hard time with the amount of cell shading going on and deciding whether or not I like it.
Okay, well, we can talk about that more in a little bit too then.
Okay.
Don't want to get into too much about that because then we'll be doing new releases and then back to my highlight.
Okay. Why don't we go to your highlights? So we don't
there we go. Because all the rest of your highlights seem to be about the new releases, which is good. No, it's good the highlights for you. My biggest highlight this week was playing the 10v10 Frostpoint game with Zemtalk 5, Paradise Decay, E-, Luminous Gaming. I think Lonely Viper was in there. A whole bunch of the bigger name streamers and whatnot. So it was fun having actual real players to be playing with and against, instead of like 2 or 3 real players and all the rest being bots.
I know. I had signed up. I did the beta on that when I was closer to my computer because PC.
Yeah.
And it wasn't great. It was because it just wasn't immersive because you were playing bots and you knew it.
Yeah.
So And they've been working, I know, on it for quite a while because I was in the beta like 8, 9 months ago. So they must have really improved it if Zimtok is doing that.
Well, he doesn't necessarily only play games that have been improved, but yeah, the enemies in it are still not very worrisome. You know, well, if you are not familiar with the game, it's a player versus enemy game. So there are these monsters that pop up every now and then, and they will attack whoever is closest to them, no matter which team they are on.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
however, they are super easy to fight, and you can pretty much just run around the map and completely ignore them unless you are standing still to focus on an enemy player. Then they might be getting. So it's kind of half-hearted effort on the enemies. You know,
it's gimmicky.
They really should be stronger.
Right. Well, I think they basically just did it as an obstacle that could actually be there when you have it. Otherwise, like you say, it's pointless. It's not like, watch out for the enemy. It's watch out for the player, and if the enemy, if the monster gets between you, then you have a problem.
Right. It's more or less. One of the comments that some of the other streamers had was that they would love it if the enemies were so strong enough, or if there were maybe even a specific mode where there was an enemy, like the giant manta that is flying around in the sky all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If it came down and was a big enemy that both teams had to team up with,
that's
against
exactly,
it, and then resume the battle with each other.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. To me, it was like Star Trek. It's like, okay, the Klingons and us have to get together to defeat this thing, and then we'll kill each other. Let's get back to killing each other after that.
Right.
Classic sci-fi. I don't know why they didn't do that.
Enemy mine, huh?
Well, we don't have to get them pregnant. But,
But yeah, one thing that I did while I was waiting to get into the matches and to explore it a little bit afterwards is one thing that they did add that wasn't there in the beta is there's another kiosk in the starting lobby main menu area, where you can go in and do training and do the shooting range and all that. There's another kiosk there that has lore. So it has it got pictures of some of the enemies. It's got audio files from characters that are talking about things and whatnot, and it gives you background on the story part of the world.
Which is great, but you have to really be into that game to want to spend time going through that. It's
and it's got a couple random, well, not random probably, but a few collectible things that I'm assuming are collectible, but that don't show up anywhere after you to pick them up. But you can pick them up and move them around, but if you set them down, they vanish and they don't reappear. One is a creepy burned doll thing. Another is this head that's cut off that has no lower jaw and is like a mechanical robot type thing, and like a half organic, half robot or whatever, and there's a few other creepy.
Okay.
One looks like a cheese slicer. I'm not sure why there's a cheese slicer in an abandoned Antarctic base, but okay.
Well, because obviously the cheese was too difficult to slice. It was still frozen, and that was such an obvious answer.
It's a laser cheat playthrough. Oh, dang it all evaporated. Ah, dang it all evaporated again.
Don't give it the craft cheese. That's all oil. That's going to explode in your hand if you use a laser slicer on that one.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, it was had fun experience playing with real people and full teams for about an hour and a half of it. It was just full teams. So
that's cool.
And I did a little bit better than Zimtalk on my kill death ratio, even though I'm playing on virtual desktop and he's playing on Link.
Really? Yeah, I think we've already made our point about Link there. I don't know why Link exists anymore, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
Or why they make virtual desktop something that you still have to patch through SideQuest. It's like, come on. Seriously.
I don't know. But anyways, moving on. Now we can talk more about the new releases of Jurassic World Aftermath.
I'm sorry.
2 days ago. And I know Michael has played it.
I'm sure he's finished it.
I mean, it came out early, actually, ahead of normal 1 p.m. Eastern release time. It was like, what, an hour early, an hour and a half early?
Like 2 hours. Yeah, there is no normal anymore. It's like whenever somebody wakes up and flips the switch, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was like, oh, hey, I get to play it now instead of waiting until I get home. All right. So he hopped on and started streaming it on Facebook.
And but he knew before he ever played. He's into dinosaurs and he's into survival. So this game was made for him.
I thought they were dinos.
Okay. Are we going to play this game? Let's just call it.
But yeah, it looks fun. Like you, I'm not entirely sure about the cell shading. Because part of what made that work for me with Lies Beneath was the conceit of the game, is that you were in a comic book. So of course things were cell shaded. You're in a comic book.
Right.
But this, you're not in a comic book. It has not, okay, open the first page of Jurassic World comic book. No, you're there.
You're supposed to be there. And it seems like more than just this company is defaulting to a cell shading technique, which I'm sure draws a lot less pixels and makes it a lot easier to add detail. But it also puts me into a cartoon. Yeah. And let's just call it that. With cell shading is a cartoon, it gives you that cartoon effect. So I could see where it's used effectively, but I could also see where it is an immersion breaker at times because it's a cartoon. So if you really want me to be engrossed in my survival and threatened by these beings, it's tough when it's a cartoon. It really is.
True. Yeah. I mean, I haven't played it, so I don't know how scary it is or is not, but I think I would be more scared by a realistic-looking velociraptor coming after me than a cel-shaded one.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is in and of itself, the game should really lend itself to cel shading if it's going to be an immersive game. It's like some developers just. Well, look, it has its fans, so who am I to say? And cell shading has its fans too. So
to each their own. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. Really, it's just, in my opinion, it would be more immersive and more convincing if it were more realistic. But given how realistic the Jurassic World stuff likes to be on other platforms, maybe they felt that they couldn't be that realistic, and so they'd be letting people down, so they went to the opposite extreme. I don't know.
Well,
or maybe it was just a matter of, hey, this is easy. This is easier on the hardware and whatnot.
I believe. Well, and that's the thing is and the other part of this is that people should be aware that it's part one.
Right. Yes.
Nobody.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody has made a point of that yet.
Mike VR Oasis did. He put out a tweet saying he thinks that should have been more prominent. That is, part one is not the complete story. There will be a part two. And I have to hand it to, speaking of Star Wars, for doing it right, everybody knew going in that this was not the whole complete thing. There was going to be more.
Right.
But Jurassic World, late breaking announcement 2 hours before release or whatever,
Right, I know, where all these people are looking forward to playing the survival game, but how could you survive in a game where it's only the first part of the game?
Right. Yeah.
So,
keeping that close to the chest was a bad idea, I think. That was, almost deceptive practices.
Yeah, it borders on there, really dancing on the line. Really dancing on the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
But right now I have really no interest in it at this point. There are so many other games that have my focus that it seems. Well, Jurassic itself is aged. I mean, how long ago did Jurassic?
I know. First one came out, what, 1960?
I think 1860.
I know. It feels like it.
I know. So it's like, okay, it's a little dated, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's still popular, which is why it continues going. I mean, there's even a Jurassic World AR game. Well, that's kind of AR. It's real world, but entirely artificial locations and graphics on the screen. But then once you own a dinosaur, you can put a model of it in the real world as an AR sticker, kind of,
Yeah, like you could do with Baby Yoda now. If you look up Yoda on Chrome, it'll come to 3D in your room. You can put him wherever you want.
Yeah, which is cool and all, but after the first
20 seconds,
it's like, okay.
Well, for me, it was great because when I said to my wife, we've been through a lot lately, and I said to her, have you seen Baby Yoda? So she hadn't seen him yet. So I said, oh, here, and I brought it up and I put it on the bed so she could look at him like right there. So that was cool,
Yeah.
But, so once in a while it could have a cool effect, but other than that, it's a gimmick, It's
well, yeah. I mean, it's cool to have the ability to put a 3D model out there so that it looks like it's in the real world, but without a use for that. I mean, the Amazon app has that ability with certain products, so you can put it in your room and see if it will fit where you want it to fit.
Right.
That's a good use of it.
Wayfair did that as well.
Yeah.
Or several places did. Sure.
Yeah.
For design, it's perfect.
Yeah. So, but for like Jurassic World, it's like, it was fun the first time I put a Gigantosaurus in my yard, but when I have to walk all the way over to the other side of the street to really get a picture of it, nah.
Exactly. Okay, nice gimmick. Thank you. Next.
Yeah.
So, but but the part of that makes it difficult is the fact that we're looking at AR through
the phone. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. If it was just your
if it were through the glasses, it'd be a little bit different story. Yeah.
Well, then you could decorate your room with the stuff you see on Amazon and Wayfair, and you don't actually need it there unless you could sit on a cardboard box where the couch is and think that you know.
No, a cardboard box would go
Okay.
Chat on.
We could put some foam, but very Ready Player One-ish. As we start placing digital anchors in the world, and we do start
Right.
overlaying things, and we do
Well,
develop.
actually, that's more Ready Player Shit 2, but yeah, so Ready Player 1 had that in it, but Ready Player 2 goes beyond and
Well, I would
even
hope.
more.
I would hope. When was Ready Player One written? 20 years ago.
Yeah, so
Well,
something like that.
did you see they're
A good while
reintroducing
ago.
they're
What?
reintroducing the Nintendo Virtua Boy?
I
New
saw something about that. I wasn't sure what it was. If you want to hang on to that, we can talk about it in news unless you want to talk about it now.
No, we can go on to something that was relevant and then come back to it in news. But
Oh
just
yeah, yeah. I forgot to add it to our board. So, but anyways, moving on, so we don't spend too much time talking about Jurassic World, which we kind of already have. We have a re-release of Invasion. It's the anniversary edition. It's free. It's that short story about how two little cute fluffy bunnies foil a would-be alien invasion, and it's got new bonus content and hand tracking for the quest.
It's cool. It actually is. It's a nice little, not that it's the most mind-blowing thing you're ever going to see, but I remember seeing it, I think on the Rift was my first time seeing it. And it was kind of cool. But seeing it now with the graphic upgrades that they've done and the little bit that they added to it and giving you some hand tracking ability, changed it, So I recommend it. It's fun and it's free, like you said. There's no hard
you can't beat the price.
No, that's for sure. It's one of the few games there that the value is there from the very beginning.
Yes. And moving on to the next new release. We've been neglecting the Oculus Go releases for a while because it's already dead to us. But there have been a few last-minute releases. One of them we felt was worthy of mention. Who with a View. Yes, that's right. Using your Oculus Go, you can sit on the toilet and be in an immersive, relaxing, meditative, beautiful landscape.
Doing my stewardess imitation, you just sit right here and to your...
Yeah, I'm like, is this the developer's commentary on the demise of the Go, or I don't know.
Well, if you read when it gives the description, it says, well, now you can take the Go out of the corner where it's been collecting dust and move it to the bathroom where it has a use. And
yeah, it says,
I think it's commentary.
With the world's first VR app for the toilet. It will revolutionize the way you do your business. It will escape your boring bathroom to be immediately transported to world-class panoramic views of beautiful scenery.
Yeah. I do recommend there's a Rick and Morty scene on SideQuest that will give you a much better experience. But what the heck? I mean, these guys knew. I think the last release date was yesterday for the Go store.
And so this was one of the very last titles released.
I think everybody got a kick out of that one. It's the weekend, and yeah, it's great, and I love the icon. It's fantastic. The logo is perfect. With the view. It does say it has music as well, so it's supposed to be relaxing. Yeah. I don't know how relaxing.
Meditative music.
Meditative.
Flowing.
I don't know. Helps
you get things moving.
Right, get you things moving. That was okay. We could spend more time on this if you wish.
Nah, I think we should move on.
Okay. I'll let you take the lead.
Speaking of things going down, things must also go up sometimes. So, will we see The Climb 2 coming out before Christmas? There is one more potential release day just before Christmas, and The Climb 2 was advertised to be coming out in the holiday season.
But isn't New Year's considered?
Will it be coming out? Will it not be? I have absolutely no idea.
See, that's just it. The holiday season encompasses Kwanzaa, New Year's. You can
Well,
stretch it into
technically,
Valentine's
Valentine's
Day.
Day is the holiday
Right.
season.
That's what I'm saying. Is you could go
Which
any
holiday season?
exactly. You can go anywhere from Halloween through Valentine's Day, and theoretically, you're in holiday season.
Yeah,
So that's a tough one.
yeah. But most likely, what they meant was the Christmas season because it's so politically incorrect to say Christmas. You have to call it holidays or winter holidays or. But usually, what they mean is the Christmas season. And the last release date for it to be considered officially, in my opinion, during the Christmas season would be Christmas Eve, the 24th, on Thursday. Will it come out then? I don't know. I haven't heard anything. There have been no leaks that I know of an actual hard release date. So I know we have one member in our Discord that has been eagerly waiting for it, and he would love for it to come out the day before
Whether it
Christmas.
climbs or chimes or
Yeah.
chims or clims or however you want to do it. It does look better than the first one, though. I'll give it that.
And it was featured in that new extended Oculus trailer ad.
Yeah, I know. But once again, I have no idea what it'll actually look like because it was in
Well, it
that.
won't look like that. We know that.
Well, that's just it. When I saw Saints and Sinners, when I saw her put her hand on the zombie's head and push him out, and you could see the eyes of the other zombies like rolling, I'm looking at this going, really? Really? This is on that headset?
Well,
Before he started laughing at
when
me.
I saw the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, I was like, yeah, that thing's not in the game.
You're right. Exactly. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Not only that, arms, not just hands, arms. Once you see
Right.
arms, and fingers waggling, you're like,
Right.
okay, wait a second. This is not.
Right. And the way she just puts on the headset and it's like, bam, instantly there. Yeah, it takes a little bit longer than that. You have to actually open the game.
That was one thing I was going to say, though, when we were talking about cell shading. Sorry for jumping back for a sec. But I've been watching Clone Wars on Disney Plus. Don't be sorry. I'm enjoying it.
I know.
The thing that I'm realizing, though, which I remember realizing 7 years ago when it first went on TV, but I only watched the first few episodes, was that whereas the characters are obviously in animation, some of the backgrounds and the ships and the planets and all of the other assets that they're using are the original assets that were designed for the movies. So it's like, why aren't war games, if they want to default to a cartoon character, why can't they just make some objects cartoonish to some degree and let the others be as realistic as possible and just import them from the movie set?
Right. Well, one of our news items does stuff kind of like that, so we can touch on this more then. But yeah, I know what you mean. There are some titles out there of cartoons, animations where they have a hyper realistic background and cartoon characters, or the other way around. So sometimes,
Exactly.
a cartoony background, some more realistic looking characters, and I'm usually never quite sold on that sharp dichotomy, but it can be cool in the right way and the right usage. But a lot of times it's like, I don't know, that's just too sharp a contrast.
Well, you
So
go to
I
the
don't know.
Or sometimes it's so not a contrast, it goes into the valley of the uncanny. You know, it's very, very weird that way. Like you're saying, it depends on how it's done.
Right.
But I was realizing watching Clone Wars that it was done very well.
Right.
You know, like they did it the best I've seen so far. And
Right.
the other thing I'll just say to everybody else, even though it has nothing to do other than being Star Wars based, it's a great show. You have to watch it because if you want to see why Anakin Skywalker was considered a great Jedi before he became Darth Vader, as opposed to the 6 minutes that they show you in the movies,
I know.
you know, seriously, in the movies, he goes from being a little kid that knows how to repair everything to being a simpering.
Droid repair tech.
You caught that. But yeah, I mean, they never gave him time to develop that part of his
I
character.
know. Yeah, the bad writing in those movies. There was no character development of almost anybody.
Right, but to have you to have that scene like when Obi-Wan slaughters him and leaves him on the planet and says to him, "You were my brother," you know, it's like
Yeah,
there's
and what I don't understand is how did Obi-Wan not turn to the dark side in the middle of dismembering him and then leaving him there?
yeah, you get a bit of hypocrisy in the
Yeah,
Jedi and Sith and the war between the two. You know, it's the two sides of the same coin type thing again, you
yeah,
know, which
yeah,
Yoda sort of brings up every now and then. He's the sort of, you know, the
right,
balance guy. But yeah, I think that it's something that I never saw before in any of the movies, which was an actual Anakin Skywalker who was a great Jedi and who was a good person who was manipulated as opposed to
right.
a jerk.
Who were manipulated?
Exactly, you know. And if you see the shows, you're going to realize they manipulated him by preying on his goodness. You know, it's always the most horrible thing you could do. They take advantage of his feelings and his being
Right,
a good person to turn him into evil.
right,
And they did that in the movie. They really didn't.
right.
They had to
Yeah,
go in from being a,
yeah. It didn't bring it out enough in the movies. No. Yeah, and of course they focused way too much on Jar Jar Binks in the movies.
oh my God, any time spent on Jar Jar was too much. I got to give you that.
Me, I like Jar Jar.
That's a two Zabatza.
Me, the
Yes.
run for Emperor.
Use my to Windsor. Really, I don't know what Lucas was tripping on that day, but
I don't know.
I know there's still people that hate Jar Jar. He will be an admiral, you know. At some point, you're going to see Admiral.
Jar Jar.
He's a good with the bombers.
Yes. So, anyways, moving on. We have been seeing many new trailers and whatnot from the Upload VR Winter Showcase thing. We had a new trailer for Wizards Dark Time that's coming out next year. And so I thought I'd bring that up that, hey, it's coming out next year.
Now you're prepared.
And it looks cool.
Now you're gonna have to overlay that graphic of the star moving with the little.
Yeah, now you know. Or
The more you know.
Yeah. But no, that was gonna actually kind of watching the trailer for that, which I did during the show prep this morning. It reminded me that one of our Discord members really likes this game and the way it looks, but he's not sold on Carnage Chronicles, which has a very similar look. It's slightly more cartoony a look, but it's basically the same look in many areas as Wizards is. And he likes Wizards, but he doesn't like the look of Carnage Chronicles. And they have similar enemies. I mean, so Wizards has those shroom creatures that run towards you and explode or whatever. Those are in Carnage Chronicles too.
I honestly believe that you find fault in a game that you're distracted from. If you're immersed, it doesn't matter. It's like some of the pebbles and the rocks that they added into Star Wars that pop up like a little too
Right.
quickly as you're walking. It's a
Right.
bit distracting, but
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah, but if you're so focused on where's the enemy, you're not going to notice that.
exactly. Or it's just something you pass by. Exactly. But it's if you're not into the game, then you see it every time it happens,
Right.
and that becomes a major distraction. So
Right.
that is something you do have to watch out for. The other thing I was really surprised was I know one of our members didn't like the look of Population One, of Pop One.
Yes.
That was
Yeah, that
surprising.
was. Yeah, I mean, not all of the assets in there are the highest of high quality, but I think they look good and they look cool. You know.
Well, I think his major complaint was that the rooms were empty in the buildings, and I think
Oh
it's like,
well, yeah, that was yeah. So that's a matter of, hey, how many non-usable assets do we want taking up memory, making performance drag? Yeah.
and the other thing is really that's not what we're here for, is to go house hunting. What we're here for is to go kill each other, and
Yeah.
it's set up perfectly for that. And I think the graphics lend themselves to the
Yep.
gameplay and are very immersive. So I don't see
Yeah.
where the complaints come in on.
Yeah. Yep. Have you jumped into it this week at all?
No, I missed the Winter Havoc, and I
Well,
want to see the ice
they
storm.
have a new thing going on right now, and um, it's been redecorated. The big geodesic sphere building in what is it, Outpost Hill,
Mhm.
is now a giant ornament. The giant
Okay.
red ornament. And Plains is covered in ice, including some huge icebergs, so basically. So
Did,
yeah.
did it give it a different, excuse me, did it give it a different mechanic? Do you slip on that, or is it just a different look?
No, it's the same as walking on the regular ground, yeah.
Okay, I was wondering
But
about that.
you can climb those ice walls just like you can climb anything. So
I think it's great. I think the devs at Pop One are fantastic. They
yeah,
listen to everybody, and I think that they have a really solid game going there for the
yeah,
hop in, hop out, and you hop in for 5 minutes and hop out an hour and a half later. So
yeah,
it's pretty addictive.
yeah. And I know some people complain about the controls of the gun, that they're not realistic and they're like flat game guns. Or well, it, as much as I enjoyed the virtual battleground, which we're gonna start talking about a little bit in the news section, I believe. Yep. Um, the, the reloading slows it down, and the population one is intended for fast paced.
Oh yeah.
As you mentioned, it's aiming for like hop in and hop out. It's not meant for take an hour playing through one round. It's hop in, hop out. You know,
Right,
which means
exactly.
everything needs to go fast. Which means you need to be able to reload like you know
To- Right. I mean, they could.
if you have to go, you're dead.
I mean,
So,
honestly, if they were doing it just for simplicity's sake, they could have just had an auto reload and never
yeah,
have
to
to
push a
worry about
button and yeah,
it.
yeah,
So no, they gave you the. It's just
yeah,
you
yeah.
you don't love that mechanic, fine, but I think it fits the gameplay perfectly.
It does. It's a good compromise between a realistic reload and an automatic reload. You
Right.
know, so
So yeah, I applaud what they did,
yeah,
honestly. And they give you the ability to reload mid clip and drop and the other things.
yeah,
So I think it's a little too picky to go in on that, you know.
Yeah, but there are some people that have brought that up, and I'm like, it works for the game and the game mode and the game pacing. If it
Exactly.
were a slower game like Onward, yeah, you don't want to, and a virtually instant reload mechanic like that. Onward, you want to have to pull the clip out, put a new magazine in, slide the chamber. You know, Onward, you want that because it's supposed to be a milsim, a simulation, not more of an arcade. And Population 1 is more of an arcade game.
Right.
Right.
They're two different, completely different games in that respect. Yeah, I mean, and also you play Onward, you die. One bullet, you die. It's not like there's a revive or eat a banana or, you know, it's not a game like that. It's like you're saying, it's a milsim. It's different.
Right.
So,
anyways, moving on to the news. I noticed on Twitter that someone received a grant to for VR concussion research. I'm not entirely sure what all that entails, but use of virtual reality and in educating about concussions, researching ways to prevent concussions, researching rehabilitation from concussions. Missy Fraser on Twitter said, "We are so thankful that our proposal was chosen. The Texas State University or college or whatever, and the tweet their project that got the funding is development of a novel virtual reality platform for the assessment and rehabilitation of sport-related concussion." So.
okay, well, I could see it being something that somebody who's already interested in the subject would find interesting. I don't think it's good.
And it's always good to see virtual reality used in research and in rehabilitation, in my opinion. So.
Well, yeah, it's being incorporated more and more into the mainstream of development. So, well, a little bit off the subject, but on that subject about it being incorporated into mainstream development, I also wanted to let people know, I don't know if you read about it, but you'll be able to listen to the Queen's Christmas address on your Amazon device just by asking Alexa, play Queen's address.
Mm-hmm.
So
good to know.
Yeah, it's just wanted to let you know that there's she's a 94-year-old woman who's about to use Amazon to broadcast her message to the world. So I don't want to hear anybody say they're too old to get into any of these new technologies.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's cool. It's just another sign that even though we tend to focus more on the games here, there is more to virtual reality than just games. There's productivity, there's medical research, workplace enhancement, all kinds of stuff going on.
Creativity. I mean, the people that are working together now and things like spatial and other work-oriented and communications orientation, this year has gone through such a major development. I guess because of the pandemic really pushed it ahead almost like a decade, it seems, in speed of development of creating that virtual environment for you and your either coworkers or friends or family to be able to meet.
Yeah.
It's really moved ahead amazingly quickly.
Yeah, and speaking of moving ahead with collaboration and traversal working together. Nvidia Omniverse beta is now live. It's limited to a few platforms that have a plugin for it right now. That's Maya, Photoshop, Rhino, Trimble, SketchUp, Substance Designer, Substance Painter, Unreal Engine 4. A lot of others are not available yet, but they will be coming, including Blender. And what this is basically a cloud-based PC and rendering the platform that's kind of like Unity teams, where you can all be working on the same the project from anywhere.
Right.
I can be working on it from my home. My partner can be out in Texas working on it, or
Exactly.
So yeah, it does not have, as far as I know, it does not have a virtual reality interface for it, and you have to have an RTX card on your device to be able to use it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's another giant step in that very same direction.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. One of the things that are we talking about chipsets also on the show now? I don't know, because
I didn't have anything in the news, but if you want to mention it, go ahead.
Okay, the Snapdragon 888 that they just came out with, which they said is going to be upgradable for 4 years. It's, pretty far advanced. It seems like it's right up there with the XR2, maybe even a little better, to be honest with you.
Right.
We'll have to see, because the XR2 is still really being examined. And also on that same note, Apple is busy developing their own chip, and at the same time, so is Microsoft now. So Intel is panicking since nobody needs their chips. What are they going to do? Create a world of Teddy Ruxpins? I don't know. So we'll have to stay tuned and see. But it seems like the major players are abandoning the chip makers.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that got brought up when you said the RTX. It's like, how specific is it going to get when we start breaking things up like that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the only drawback, in my opinion, to the Nvidia Omniverse thing, is you have to have an RTX card, and they recommend a 2080.
Right.
That rules out 98% of people, or something like that.
8.5%, but yeah, it's a pretty large number there.
Yeah, so, and I can understand, I guess, why, maybe they're utilizing some proprietary feature that's only on that card or something, but Shadow PC lets you do the full PC, whether you have a phone or a potato. That's
right. Potato.
That's using Arduino,
Exactly. I think Nvidia has always been very protective, and also Nvidia really is very advanced chip maker. I mean, they do have computers on a chip. They were the first ones to launch the whole computer on a chip.
Yeah.
So, and their cards have always been super expensive. But that's the ridiculous part, is if you want acceptance, you have to sort of come down to reality in terms of what people can afford to purchase in order to be able to enjoy your product. So,
right.
It's a bit of a trade-off.
Yeah. I mean, I like Nvidia. I used to have, on my laptop here, I think I've got a GeForce line of the graphics card. It's built-in mobile, but it says GeForce. On my the gaming rig that I've got out in the living room, though, it's an AMD, or it's Radeon.
Really?
It's not Nvidia. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, it's so weird because I I also have a laptop with the GeForce, but with my PC rig, I do have the 1080. The
Mm,
actually the 1080, the GT 1080 Ti. So it's
yeah.
at the time it was the best you could get, and it's still up there, but it's barely hanging in. You know, at this point, it's more of minimum spec than maximum spec, which is crazy because most people don't even come close to a 1080 Ti at this point.
Right. I know. But yeah, where I was getting at is I've always tended to, when I'm making my own stuff, to go with AMD over Intel, because aside from the one or two proprietary things on the Intel chips, AMD does everything else just as well for like half the price. Yeah.
Well,
Overall,
yes,
in general,
over and now I
I
will
saw
tell
you
you.
objecting.
Right, I will tell you why I never will use AMD, and that's because when I first started doing digital video editing, that FPU, the floating point unit that nobody knows about anymore, but people who remember why computers work the way they do, their floating
Right.
point was off by like what 0.000, just enough to be able to completely screw up any editing you were doing. You know, it was like,
Right.
and it would destroy every project. And after that, you just can't, you know, when you have that type of experience,
Well,
like,
yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Now, I'm sure there are probably uh, NVIDIA graphic cards features that could benefit what I do on there, but for the most part right now, my RX 5700 is working fine. You know, it lets me do pretty much any VR thing that I've attempted to do on it. So I can do Half-Life Alyx. I can do
right.
Frostpoint. You know, I can do
But
Carnage. I
like
can
you
do
said,
Skyrim. You know,
99.8% is going to be no difference. But that
right,
0.2%, if that's the program you're trying to run,
right,
that's when you're going to go crazy over the fact that you have this great computer that can't run this stupid program. So,
right. But at the same time, I'm not gonna go. Okay, well, I guess I need to go out and buy a $500 replacement graphics card so I can play the $30 game. Yeah, you
uh,
know. So
it's sort of like buying the $500 haptic vest in order to be able to play the $20 game.
yeah, exactly.
That's a nice accessory, right? It makes that game so much more realistic. Well, I would hope so.
Yeah. But speaking of something else you brought up just a little bit ago, Spatial is moving to mobile AR or expanding, not
Mhm.
moving. They are still where they are in the VR space,
Right,
but
but you'll be able
now
to move
there's
your
have
phone
phone interface,
around.
right?
Right, and as
Where
you
you
move your
can look
phone,
at the workspace, to see the other avatars there, and talk with them, and it supposedly reads your expression and whatnot, and to convey that to them. So, yeah.
and are we talking about the new Sony headset as well that's rumored for the PS5?
I don't know if I heard about that. So,
Okay,
if you
well,
want to talk
it's
about
not.
that, go ahead real quick.
Okay, there's a new headset
Oh,
coming out.
she just took too long. Now the show's over. No,
Okay,
no, no. Go ahead. Sorry.
PS6 has another headset. The PS5, if you ever get one before the PS6 comes out, they have developed a new headset. It's just a matter of now figuring out what's real about the description. They know it's wireless. They know it's going to have basically what we're getting as far as pixel depth and field of view and all that other stuff on the Quest. But it's also supposed to have eye tracking
Right.
and obviously augmented controls because they can't use those little sticks anymore. So it looks like a very big leap. It really does. And now it's just a matter of figuring out, okay, what is really not going to be in the headset that you know, that'll be the next generation, and what's going to be in this one. But it will be wireless. They say it will be 360. You know, it's like Sony. It looks like Sony, like we've always said, it looks like Sony is making the move.
Yeah.
You know, Go VR.
Well, hopefully, whatever they come out with is a good one. And speaking of other headsets, we still have Deca gear that's supposedly coming out. Who knows how real everything on that's going to be, but
Yeah, I know. Well, that's
we'll
just
find out at some point.
Deck is a little less proven than Sony.
Yeah.
So I have a little more, slightly, a little lower in ranking. So my money's on Sony. And let's see. I saw the trailer for Ven VR this week. That was really cool. Did you see it?
I've seen a trailer for it, yeah.
Yeah. It looks like they finally got it right. They finally got a platformer in VR that's longer than Lucky's Tale and will
Right.
looks
Hopefully.
good.
Yeah, it's a $30 title on Rift or Oculus PC. I'm not sure because it's still oculus.com/experiences/Rift.
Right.
So
That'll change.
yeah. Anyways, speaking of AR, Unity has acquired Rest AR, so there's another development path in there using the Rest AR APIs and whatnot. I don't know a lot about how that's different from other APIs, but it's always good to have more options and target different devices and different workflows and whatnot. So
Yeah, well, that just goes to show that it's being accepted by more people in more areas, so they need the variations, which is great. It is a sign of growth and acceptance once again. So
yeah,
cool.
And speaking of the mixed real and Unreal, not to be confused with the engine, but meaning not real, style of animation and games, we have Stones of Harlath has been approved for Quest 2 development, or Quest/Quest 2. So that means that they will be pushing back the PC release so that it releases at the same time as the Quest release. And they're going to be working closely with Oculus, the QA, and all that, and just making sure everything is certified, everything runs well. And Stones of Harlath is a 3D game that has 2D sprite enemies. So
I don't like those games. I'm sorry. I do not understand the 2D inside of a virtual world where you have 4D.
Well, it was like what you were talking about with Clone Wars, the realistic background, the cartoon characters. Oh, this is 3D background, flat 2D characters.
Yeah, it reminds me of the original SWAT games on the Go, where you had the little cartoon guys, bad guys with the target on their chest coming after you.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people like it. They've been following it for a while. It's fairly popular. It uses gesture-based spell drawing, so you can draw a triangle and then you get like 4 or 5 the fireball orbs floating around your wrist, and when you use them up, you draw the spell again, and you get more. Or there's like a Z that you draw, and you get lightning spells, and you have sword and shield, and they're part of the update video that they had that I got this information about being approved for the Quest development. And now they are adding magic-based weapons. So it's not just a sword and a shield. You can have, a frost mace and a lightning sword and a shield that steals life out of the enemies and whatnot. And so,
I mean, some of that's cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how it's implemented. But the fact that you have the two-dimensional enemies, I can't see how that can't help but be an immersion breaker.
I don't know. So, anyway, speaking of immersion breaking, Medal of Honor has gotten patches to help unbreak immersion. They've removed a lot of the victory screens, and this news actually came out like the day after we spoke about it last week. So
yeah, a couple of days out, but yeah, right away they realized that was a big mistake.
Yeah, so they are trying to fix the game and make it better, which I assumed that they would. But yeah.
Well, that's a lot better than what's happening with Cyberpunk. So.
So Cyberpunk is being refunded all over the place.
Well, they said that
pulled from the PlayStation Store, refunds being.
Oh, they said that this is going to end up costing all of us more money for every game we buy.
Yeah.
Because this Cyberpunk costs Sony a lot of money, and it's going to be divided up over the industry because we don't even know how much was really involved here, but it's much more than they want to let you know, Right. So.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know. I never got it, so I don't get a refund.
Right, but now I'm wondering about lo-fi. What's going to happen if this is what happened with Cyberpunk? What's going to happen with lo-fi? That's
I don't know. Lo-fi is taking its time, which is good. It's not letting itself get rushed. In fact, it got pushed back because they're working on the Quest related game. So
right.
That's probably a good thing because, as we mentioned before, when we were talking about the Climb 1, we want the game to be good when they release. We don't want a crappy game release because they were trying to make deadline and then have to have a flurry of patches afterwards to make it playable.
Right. When you see how many patches are being downloaded, because, on our board, we have that bot that lets us know when any news comes out. And you can see there's some of these games that are getting 3 patches a day. It's like every hour on the hour, there's another patch coming in.
Yeah, patch 1, patch 2, patch 3.
Right. And why did this one do it? Got rid of bugs. And this one got rid of bugs. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I think that
sometimes games can recover from a launch like that. Sometimes they can't.
I know.
So I'd rather that they delay the launch and they get it right. On the other hand, speaking of Cyberpunk, evidently the developers were getting literal death threats because they had already pushed it back a little bit.
Which is, come on, it's a game.
Yeah, I'm like, and I bet that the same people that were issuing the death threats also issued the death threats. Fix your game, it's crap.
And the first one to demand a refund, probably.
Right.
As opposed to giving them time to fix it,
Yeah.
So, well, look, it was a big mistake on their part. They just should have held off. I understand everybody wanted everything out before Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, it is the ideal time, but at the same time, if you can't deliver a solid product, I mean, a few minor bugs here and there, sure, but ones that make it unplayable on Xbox and PlayStation, that's no.
Right. No, that hardware on there is way too good to be able to make any excuses for not playing on those consoles.
Right.
That's crazy. It's like, don't tell me you're waiting for the 5 and for the X series.
Yeah.
It's not going to play on the 4 series or the S series. I mean,
no. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But
So,
speaking of how people doing things right, the Dr. Beef has added 90 hertz support to Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Quake, and Half-Life ports.
oh, cool.
So now we can play his already awesome ports for the Quest with 90 frames per second.
That is good news. Oh, and that also reminds me that Endgame is also playing at 90 hertz, and it makes a difference. At first, I didn't think it did. After now playing 90 hertz, going back to 72, not as much fun. You do know it's not a super noticeable difference, but it is a difference.
Right.
So I'm hoping that they elevate the one and get the approval to make it 90 and up.
And then now they said the two will make it 120.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That really, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe there might be something, but given Oculus's track record with doing that kind of stuff, I'm not holding my breath for it. It'd be nice, though.
Right. Yeah, but I don't know that they'll do it either. I mean, that's one of the reasons I decided to use Fire as the smart controller for my home as opposed to Google, was just simply because I'm looking at the prices and I know the Google product is probably better. And I also know that the Google product will be discontinued way before the Fire product.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Google Home. It works so much better. It understands better. It gets things right more often. But yeah, you're right. The Google is more likely to say, "All right, no more Google Homes," just out of the blue. Yeah.
They just continued the Macs. So, I mean, it's like, okay, it's like, why would I spend this kind of money on a product that I know you're going to discontinue?
Well, I don't think I paid full price for any of our Google Homes.
No, I didn't
Got them
either.
all on deals.
Right. They always put them on deals because they're selling you, their other products as well. But it's just that, that was a bit of a disappointment.
So moving on.
Yes. The other thing I wanted to say, though,
go ahead,
because I know we're ending and wrapping up, artificial intelligence. I was just reading it this morning. This was one of the reasons I guess I was fixated on the Fire universe this morning.
Right.
They just upped the AI in Alexa, and they just rolled it out. And now, not only does it translate, like you could say, translate Spanish, translate French, and you can speak in one language and it'll translate into another, and you two of you can translate back and forth, and over the phone using Alexa devices, and turning your TV into a show by using the Fire TV Cube. I mean, they're really integrating themselves incredibly, and they also have upped the AI game. So now if you say, Alexa, initiate reading mode, Alexa will go, what's reading mode? Please tell me how to do that. And you could say, reading mode is setting the light at 50% brightness. And she will then remember it, and whenever you request reading mode in the future, the light will turn to 50%. If you
so you can now create a routine using it instead of using the app. So basically,
not just using the app, because the other thing that it does, and this is where I was going, is if you walk into the room and you go, Alexa, it's dark in here, Alexa will say, do you want me to turn on the lights or open the blinds? And then whatever answer you give is the answer she'll remember. So if you ever walk into a room and say, Alexa, it's dark in here, the lights will come on. So no, it goes beyond just creating a routine. It doesn't know.
That's creating a routine.
Right, but it doesn't know what you want it to do and asks you to tell it.
Well, it knows that it's connected to lights and it's connected to blinds, either of which might be what you want done. And once you tell it to this one, you've got a routine created. It'll be the same thing if you were going through the app. You could create a routine that it's dark in here and having me open up the blinds. But it's a way of doing it with with your voice. Yeah.
Right, but the part you're missing is the fact that when you say it's dark in here, it understands
Yeah.
that you don't want it to be dark, and it knows
Well,
what
yeah.
dark
Yeah.
is. So
Right.
it's like,
I get that.
okay,
But
just
yeah, it's using the AI part of understanding, or more accurately understanding the intent behind his statement, to then go into routine creating mode.
right, which you've personalized. It's like an if this then that, but orally as opposed
Right.
to, like you say, creating it, by pushing a button as opposed to
Right.
the routine.
Right. So, moving on, we have the virtual battleground update, which I kind of alluded to earlier.
Right.
They are going into season 2, and they've released new. I don't have the exact details of the update handy right now, but they changed a few things, added some things. They're trying to refresh things and whatnot. And will it be enough to bring people back to it? I don't know. There we are. Here's the article on it. It gets a visual overhaul and a new area in season 2. I haven't had a chance to try it out yet this week, but that officially launched 2 days ago on the 17th. They are adding a new warehouse district with buildings and shipping containers, and there's a new pump action shotgun, and there will be randomized other effects on the map.
Okay.
So, and it got a visual polish so coming in.
Yeah, visual
And it's got a new lobby area for you. So.
Right. Also, Mist, well, I don't know, we didn't hit the fact that Mist did a major update on their graphics because people were freaking out at how bad they were.
And I believe they are working on an in-game journal option as well, which is useful unless you have a really good memory. Or you have the ability to write without looking, which I do.
Which is great, but not many people. Once again, we're down to that 1.5% of the people that can do so. Yeah,
I can
that was
write
amazing.
with my eyes closed and have it be legible, and I can read things upside down and backward.
I could do that too. That's pretty cool. I know that one's a rough one, but no. And my memory is very, very good. My problem is I'd have to only play Myst and never play any other game until I finished. Which
Right.
I don't know that I want to do that.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to implement an in-game journal, and I'll be curious to see how they do it.
I think it's going to be fairly simple in the sense that there's only certain things you can do in an area. So I think the journal will actually help you in the sense that it might limit you when you're looking for things that you can't do yet, and maybe it'll help you to know to move on. Like
maybe. I mean,
suggested.
I hope that they find the right solution so that people can't use the journal to shortcut and go, oh, I can't do anything here until I go to this area, because you're supposed to figure that out on your own. If you just go, oh, okay, that
Right,
takes some of the exploration out of it. So they're going to need to find a good balance there, I think.
I think less hints than the room, but the ability to call up a hint is not a bad idea. And the journal might be that in between, which, as you're writing and it's giving you, like, you notice something and all of a sudden it gives you the option of putting it in the journal. And
Right. Yeah, what I was envisioning is clues and things that you have done in the various areas could be recorded in the journal as this is the last state of this area when you were last there. so that later on you are trying to solve a puzzle and you notice that that symbol over there looks really familiar, so you go in and you, oh,
Right.
here it is. You know,
Exactly. And I think that that's not easy to do, but I think that the idea itself is conceptually
right,
something that's not impossible to do and have it work out
right,
well. So
right. It's just, I hope that it doesn't become too much of a, oh, I don't need to worry about this soda can on the ground that I can pick up and whatnot, because it has nothing to do with anything. You know what I mean?
right. No, I
Not that
know
there
what you
are
mean.
soda cans on the ground in Myth,
I
but
was going to say I don't remember any
yeah,
soda cans on the ground in this, or banana peels for that matter, but
right.
I don't notice any of those on Pop One. We have to mention that to those guys. When you eat your
You
banana,
eat the peel as well.
you should right. You should still have the peel and be able to throw it on the ground so somebody could slip on it.
I've heard that in actuality, in reality, if you step on a banana peel, it more sticks. It doesn't
Yeah,
slip. It'll make you stumble as opposed to slip.
it depends. If you're cell shaded, you slip. If you're not,
Yes. Yes. So moving on to our last and final bit of news. Now that our recording time is 1 hour and 17 minutes and 25 seconds as of now. Our last bit of news is Virtual Market 5 is alive.
huh?
How many people will get that reference? Number 5 is alive.
Five.
Nobody? Okay.
It sounds familiar.
Okay. The movie Short Circuit.
Right. Oh, okay.
Number 5 is alive. So, anyways, Virtual Market 5 or Vket 5 is started in VRChat as of last night, I think. So, feel free to go check it out. They do a great job on creating awesome environments to be walking around in and exploring all the avatars and models that people have made and have for sale. So
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, it's amazing what they're doing with avatars. I think pretty soon we'll be able to have real volumetric avatars that we can work with on a little better
yeah,
scale.
yeah. And I mean, just, I know VRChat still gets a bad rep for a lot of uh, valid reasons. A lot of people using it to do really weird and bizarre and not safe for life in general things. But it also has some really cool things as well, like virtual market. Even if you don't plan on purchasing anything in there, which I never do. I go in just to look and see and to check out the world and the avatars and whatnot.
Mhm.
It's still cool. So, and it's amazing what they are able to pull off. So,
It is. It really is. I have no idea what's going on back there beyond those servers must be. They're using Cheyenne Mountain to run it. You know, they're just
yeah,
giving us a little bit at a time.
yeah. So, I haven't heard any news that this is going to be on the Quest platform. I think they abandoned having a PC virtual market and a Quest virtual market. I think it's just this PC. But I could be wrong. This kind of sneaked up on me this time. So,
Yeah, we'll see what happens with it. You know, I'm sure that there will be something. If it goes only PC, there'll be something similar soon to take its place on the Quest.
well, yeah. I mean, there was in Virtual Market 3, there was a Quest version of it, and it was very, very limited compared to the PC because it can't hold as many things in one room and it can't display as complicated avatars and models as the PC can.
So it doesn't look like you're getting something as cool when you're buying.
Right.
So why buy it if it's just a scaled down version? So yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's like at the same time, there are people like one person in our Discord who doesn't want to use PC VR really, and even though he has the ability, he wants to do everything native on the Quest or Quest 2, which I can understand that. But at the same time, the Quest 2 is a PC VR device as well. It really is. It's a hybrid. It's standalone and it's a PC VR device.
This is why people
why not use it to its full capabilities if you have the ability to?
Right. I mean, I started with the Rift and the Vive, and it is as good, better actually, than those were when I first got them. And the way that it connects to your PC, it's both. It simply is. So if you want to play the PC game and you have the computer that can handle it,
and the storage space for the download.
Exactly, because the SSDs now, which you're going to need to run programs that are 180 gigabytes, are also ridiculously expensive and small. They don't usually come in terabyte and 2 terabyte sizes without hitting major price. Yeah. And a lot of people don't put in enough. Well, computer manufacturers don't put in enough bays for the SSDs. So
yeah. I had to install a new SSD in mine, and they had too many things in the way of where I could mount it that I was like, okay, I'll just grab some removable adhesive stuff and stick it right here.
It's amazing how some cases give you so much room to work with, which is, it's
and
just
others
like,
don't,
and others stick everything they can so close to each other. There's no way not to avoid heat buildup. It's just
right. Well, I don't think that I'm having a problem with heat buildup. It's just
it just seems like a design.
Cords are coming, and it's like where I would need to. Well, it's got 2 areas to like screw the SATA SSD drive onto the actual backing where the motherboard screws onto.
Right.
It's got 2 areas for that, and problem is the power cord stuff is on the other side of that. And they're going here, and there's this really small lip, like that big, for the cord to try to squeeze through. Well, the connectors for the cord, they're like, damn, they don't go through. So I can't put them there, because then I wouldn't be able to plug them in and hook them up to the power or the motherboard.
That's crazy. It really is. Note to manufacturers: just make the case a little bit bigger. Give me the room I need so I can modify this thing.
Right. So I had to find a workaround.
Yeah, it sounded like you rigged it pretty well, but it was a rig for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it for our show. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, drag your friends over, and make them like and subscribe also, because yes, coerce them to. Offer them fudge if they like and subscribe. I don't know why I'm making it.
Offer them fudge.
Offer them fudge.
Right, meet fudge and almond. So.
Offer them the fudge for subscribing, and if they don't subscribe, offer them fruitcake.
That'll teach them.
Have a great weekend. Have a very Merry Christmas next week. Have fun. Bye.
Bye-bye.